Hey guys, and welcome to my very first point of view helmet cam video. And what a track it is coming from the brand new Silverstone kart circuit, which has literally only just opened. Now, fortunately for me, I was invited down before the track was opened with Mr. Dante Dillon, who you can see right here, for a charity event. And you can be certain that there is no way that I was going to be turning down a free kart session at Silverstone. But yeah, as you can see, looking at the grid, pretty full and stacked with some incredible drivers, which I'll get onto in just a minute. But firstly, I had to make some alterations and some preparations of my own before I got there, such as changing my visor, which obviously gives you an extra 4 tenths a lap, going from clear to tinted with the Super One visor sticker on there. Can't get any better than that. And then it was just a case of getting down to the track. Obviously, Dante called me in the morning. I wasn't actually expecting to go, but one of the other guest drivers dropped out, so there's no way that I'm going to be complaining about that. And then I just had to get ready, get in the car and arrive at the track. So if we jump forward now to the start of the race, I'll talk you through it. So this was a 3-hour endurance race, 6 drivers per team, needed to make 8 stops, standing start. We had a 40-minute qualifying session beforehand as well. So I managed to qualify P3, which I was really happy with, considering there was no weight limit. But you can see off the start there, little bit compromised. But you know, we've got to work with what we got. And obviously you can see that the track is not completely dry, which makes it far more interesting, especially on a track that you don't know that well. And as you can see, me and Dante side by side going into turn 3, but Dante does hold on to that P3, and then we both point forward to try and get up the field as far as we can. But that is not going to be an easy feat due to the calibre of driver on this grid. Now, coming into this corner here, me and Dante both get absolutely sent by Brad Philpott, who, if you don't know, is a karting YouTuber. And Dante gets a nice little cutback. We hang on to the inside and we get the move back through. Nicely done on the inside, nice and clean. But it is not over, and Brad once again sends it up the inside, understeers into us due to it being a bit damp, and I'm not very happy about that at all. Shake my head, but nothing we can do about it, you know. Got to work with it and try and not lose the leaders. But at this point, you can see already that Callum Bradshaw, who was on pole, has already got a bit of a gap to second place. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the calibre of driver on this grid. I had no idea, because obviously I didn't know I was even going until the morning. But drivers like Callum Bradshaw, who's an MSA World Kart Champion. Obviously you've got Dante, British Indoor Kart Champion multiple times. Brad Philpott, Harry King, who's an absolute monster in cars, was on this grid. As you can see, we go back up the inside of Brad there into turn 3 and just forcing out onto that curb. But the calibre of driver on this grid was probably the most competitive grid I've been on for the last 10 years, to be honest with you, which just gave me some nice encouragement, really. The fact that I can mix it at the front with these guys that obviously do, at the moment at least, a lot more racing than me, just gave me a lot more confidence in what I can do. But yeah, let's focus on what is happening on track. So obviously back into P4, we saw Brad give it another go earlier on in the lap, but we managed to close the door, and now we have got our sights firmly on P3. Obviously we can see Dante fighting for that position, and he gets a beautiful cutback there to take P2 away from this other driver. And what we've got to do is just try and replicate exactly what he's done and just try, if we can, to close that gap. So we make sure we hit the apex nicely through that last corner, get a nice run down the straight, and we go across the start finish line. A little bit of crotch cam there just to squeeze out every last hundredth that we can down the straight and into turn 1. Super fast and flowy section is the first sector of this track, and you can see that we're actually closing in a little bit, not only on Dante but on third place as well. So it's looking pretty promising at the moment as we come through the chicane, completely flat out in these Sodi karts and through this next corner here, which is actually quite a difficult corner to get used to, since you got to apex it right at the end, almost when the corner is done, which leads onto another straight and into this hairpin. Careful not to hit any of the curbs or to run too wide, especially on this day, because the curbs were still nice and wet, so I didn't want to get that on the tyres and just lose all your temperature. And then we come into the infield section, which I would say is definitely the most technical part of this track and can punish you, as you can see here with third place running it really wide all over the curbs there. Not what you want to do. Loses all his temperature in his front tyres and subsequently runs it wide coming out the last corner as well. He looks behind, sees me coming, I get a lovely run, more crotch cam, and now I can definitely smell some blood in the water. Coming into turn 1, I take far more entry speed in, and I can definitely identify some areas where I'm definitely faster. Coming into turn 3, again later on the brakes, and I'm not very compromised on the exit either. Quick check behind, I can see Mr. Harry King behind us, not a driver who you want behind you, but we've got a bit of a gap, so don't need to worry about him just yet. Pretty even through that corner. Not got much of a run or opportunity coming into this next hairpin, but if last lap is anything to go by, I should be able to catch him through the infield section. Again, it's just making some marginal gains, a bit later on the brakes, and you can see here that he gets on the wet patch and again runs wide all over the curbs there. And can we look for a gap on the inside potentially? Yes, we can. Of course we can. Straight through, a little bit elbows out, but ultimately we get the move done. Potentially a little bit of a lunge, a little bit of an elbows out for a charity event, but hey, you know, this is still a race. And obviously now we come onto the back straight, bit of a headwind today, and I hear him coming, look behind, and just pull over to the inside to cover it. Sticks his nose in there, but managed to keep him at bay to hold on to that P3. So back to where we started, which is okay. You know, you never want to go backwards and always want to aim to go forwards, but staying in P3 is not the end of the world. A little shake of the head through turn 3. It was a corner that most of the day I don't think I really got right. I don't think that the wet patch on the entry really helped me all that much to try and, you know, get the optimal line. But I think my line through there was okay, you know, for most of the day. It was just, I didn't feel like I was optimising it completely, but I think the rest of the lap I was pretty good with, and I was reasonably consistent with it as well, which ultimately at the end of the day helped me build a gap behind. But sadly for me, you can see that the gap to Dante and to Callum is just, it's insurmountable really at this point, unless they come across some back markers or they start fighting, you know, really hard. So I was kind of in no man's land really. Obviously hit the curb there, not what you want to do. Made my disapproval pretty clear. Quick check behind, but ultimately the gap behind me just kept on getting bigger, and so did the gap in front of me. So I was kind of stuck in third place. Obviously, you know, there's worse places to be than in third place. I'm not going to complain at all, especially the fact, you know, that I was about 20 kilos heavier than a lot of the guys on the grid, so can't complain about that at all. But yeah, it just meant that I could kind of sit back, relax a little bit, and just enjoy this brand new track. And, you know, as far as tracks go, Silverstone, you know, super impressed with it. Lived up to all the expectations that I had. You know, obviously under construction for quite a long time. Heard that it was going to be CIK approved, so obviously, you know, the owner drivers are going to have their opportunity to come down here as well, which should be an amazing experience. I can't imagine what, you know, a senior road tax will be like to drive around this track. I imagine it will be, you know, an amazing feeling. So yeah, if you get the opportunity to come down to this track, whether it's in a Sodi kart like I am here or in an owner driver, I would highly recommend it. You know, the facilities as well are next level. Unfortunately, I didn't get that much footage when I was off track because there was so much to do at this particular event, but they've got their amazing full-on restaurant, which serves the most amazing pizzas I've ever had at a kart track. So you guys have definitely got to try one of those. But yeah, on that thought, I will leave it here. I'll let you enjoy the final few laps of my session without me talking over it, because I think those were the best laps that I did in this session. So yeah, make sure you guys like, subscribe, let me know what you think of this style of video. I'm hoping to do a couple more, or start doing a few more like this. I've got Club 100 round 2 from Clay Pigeon that I've got the footage of as well. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.